Hello, it's 1:23 p.m. It is Friday, January 12th, and I just wanted to follow up with another video. I didn't have any intention of making a second video, but I kept having these thoughts that were swirling around in my mind. And then I was, of course, thinking about the good old, the gang stalking thing. And, it's funny because I can get angry about stuff like that still to this day. But as soon as Let's Groove from Earth, Wind, and Fire came on the radio, I completely forgot about it. Like, dude, I love that song. That puts me in such a good mood. How could you be in a bad mood when you hear that song? You just can't. Anyway, so I was thinking about the women's rights issues, and God, I don't like talking about I've never liked telling my opinion in public, but like I said, this is my channel. And I was thinking about how, I think my father was well intentioned. He never wanted to offend people. I think my father tried to follow social norms, okay? What I mean by that is the social norms that he grew up with. Women didn't have a whole lot of um, anything. When I whistle, right? I whistle because I like music, and sometimes, there's no singing in the song, right? So there's maybe I don't know, a guitar solo or something like that. So I choose to whistle alongside of it, which I've always done that since I was a kid. But I remember my dad would say things like like this thing that I just posted. He would say, "A whistling woman and a crowing hen are neither fit for God nor men." That's exactly what he would say. And I kept thinking, how odd is it that I was born with lips, and when I put them together, I could create sound? And I didn't think that that made any sense, but I think that maybe there was a time where it was looked down upon for women to whistle, okay? And obviously this idea or this saying, okay, that my father said is something that was pretty common and circulated, it seems like, around the world, because I had a friend from Thailand. She's probably a perp, but anyway, she said her mom would say that to her. Her mom would say that to her. So, I think there's women, actually, when you look at history in different cultures, women kind of always had the short end of the stick. That saying was actually used sometimes, like for this girl who was from Thailand. Her mom would say it, basically to kind of remind her of her place as a woman. Um, Women have lips, and they can put them together, and they can produce sound. Seems a little odd to me that God would give me lips and the ability to do something and then penalize me for it. A lot of times when people want control over a person or whatever, they like to, use God as a reason to control another human being. Women, it seems as though their lives are set up to be miserable. You know what I mean? It's like no one encourages a woman to pursue the things that she really needs. It's always, kind of stomped out by somebody who could not possibly understand that she has feelings. You're going to hear this from men, and then also you're going to hear it from women, like the girl's mother, who's from Thailand, who grew up believing that she has no right to do anything. I just felt like, man, the way that these people think back then, it's like you basically reduce a woman to an inanimate object, and that's basically how it is. Like, I remember my mom and I would talk about, you know, how kids talk about, mommy, when I grow up, those kind of little conversations. And I remember her saying that, men should ask the woman out. And I kept thinking, well, what if you like him? What if you like somebody? Why is it wrong to ask someone you like out? Why is that wrong? And she said, well, that's just, they never had a real good answer to say other than, that's just not ladylike. But what is a woman supposed to do? She's supposed to let shit pass her by, or she's supposed to not have any enjoyment in life? She's sitting here supposed to be fucking miserable. She gets stuck with a guy because the guy that she really wants, she can't go after, right? She has to keep her mouth shut. She can't, dress in pants if it's convenient for her. She has to suffer the winter season in a dress and have her legs get cold. You know, I just always felt as though, um, you know, there was so much limitation to women, and it was always things that were just like, to me, normal things, like, you know, things that I thought was rather silly for people to oppose these things, you know. But now that my father is in the afterlife, you know, I do believe that there's times where I communicate with him. I don't believe he is holding it against me for whistling or anything like that at this point in the stage of the game. But you know, I just feel like, you know, um, women are at a disadvantage a lot of times because, you know, people just assume their role in society, and we have rights according to the law. According to the law, maybe your neighbor or whoever may not always adhere to the laws, but we do have good laws here in this country, and women do have rights. And you know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a political person, but I'm talking about my experiences, okay? And why I just felt was like, you know, the spirit of women living under those sort of ideas of where, you know, you're women are supposed to be quiet, you know, they're supposed to just sit there and take what's given to them. It seems like it's a system based on misery of women, you know. So anyway, I did get some intuitive messages. And by the way, you know, I said I don't have a problem whistling now or anything. But you know, I was always having to be really reserved around my dad when I was younger. And I don't feel as though the fact that I whistle or whistled as a teenager was in any way rebelling against him. I mean, it seems like, you know, because my dad didn't think that women should do those things. Well, I just looked at that as his opinion, and I made sure that I didn't do it in front of him. But I never thought, oh, I'm doing something wrong. God's going to strike me down if I whistle. I don't see anything wrong if you like someone and you want to talk to them. Well, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know what I mean? And to me, that's a matter of personal preference. Like, some men might want to be the person who reaches out to the woman, right? And some men don't like women who whistle. You know, that to me is kind of a problem because that's kind of, you know, oppressive to the woman. But obviously, there wouldn't be any compatibility if he's attracted to a woman who enjoys those things. You know what I mean? So it's up to people, different people, what they want to gravitate to, and you know, if they like those sort of stipulations, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, and I love my father. Don't get me wrong, I love my dad. He was a great dude. But he was just a man of his time. You know, he was just somebody who was influenced within the cultural norms at that time. And really, I think that really sucks. And it's 2023, and I still had to deal with some bullshit. Well, it's not 2023, it's actually 2024. But I did deal with workplace bullying and stuff like that. That to me are relate women's issues. You know, women are not property. There are some people that treat women like property. You know what I mean? They treat them like property, and women are human beings. They're human beings. They actually have likes, they have opinions, they have dreams, they have ideas, they have things and requirements that they need emotionally. And it shouldn't be ignored. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying that because, you know, obviously I am not somebody who is like a political person, and I've never joined any women's rights um, groups or whatever. But, you know, when I think back to that seance that I went to back in 2013, and people were telling me that I should not make this a racial issue, which it is a racial issue, okay? But there's a lot of, I think women wanted me to kind of stand up for women's issues, and that's why they wanted me to make it a women's issue. I can see why now, you know, because I do think there's a lot of ridiculous, oppressive issues that go along with women from just about every background, and there's a lot of inner suffering that we deal with. You know, it's like they expect you to, you know, people want you to be beautiful. They do. They promote beauty all the time. If a woman tries to, and I don't think of myself as beautiful. I do love clothes, okay, like, you know, stuff like that. But it's like, you know, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. It's always like that. So it's just, you know, there's a lot of suffering that we go through. Anyway, on to my intuitive messages. I got some more today. I'm just kind of like sitting around thinking about things. Maybe possibly too much. But I did get the message that the girl that I used to know that I would like to talk to. And here's the thing, okay? Like reconnecting with people or meeting new people for that matter, I'm kind of in a grumpy mood these days because I am struggling to get myself together because I'm still dealing with the after effects of we all know. And so I need to make money, okay? I'm in a situation where I try to avoid, but I'm not going to go too into it. But, I'm not the most joyous conversationalist right now. I was surprised, like, when I got together to talk to my old friend the day I was in the mood to deal with it, and I think I enjoyed the conversation with him. But, it's kind of like when you give updates, you want to be positive, okay? And it's like, oh, I'm not working, oh, my unemployment just ran out. Oh, it's like, I don't have any great updates. I don't have anything cool or like positive to say other than, I basically sit in my house all day and, I have to look at it as an adventure just to go to the grocery store. I mean, it really doesn't sound like it's that cool. But, I would love to get in touch with her because, and obviously she's thinking about me too, and I would love to get in touch with her. You know what I mean? I really need to talk to another girl, especially another clone girl, right? And I'm not going to say people's names on this, on my videos because I respect their privacy. Unfortunately, nobody. I mean, absolutely nobody respected mine. I'm injecting a little humor in there. But anyway, I'm glad that the other message I got, I'm really glad that people's view of my father is turned around because I don't know. I can imagine the smear campaign that went against my father. And all I can tell you is I appreciate him, even though, we obviously had our differences. Like, he thought that I should have had limitations in my life. And he had ideas of the role of what women were supposed to be. And obviously, I completely think the opposite of my father. But I love and respect him anyway. And that's hard for some people to do because sometimes people hold grudges like that. But I always take in consideration, okay, what year was my father born? What was his environment? What did he see around him? What was considered the norm everywhere? Like everywhere he went, it was in his family. His mom was married to his dad. He came from a family, and obviously I've heard that his father was kind of, not outright abusive, but he probably had an attitude. Okay, so. And then, like, everything reinforced that. Not necessarily through, well, maybe he watched a lot of movies and stuff like that. There's a man, he's the head of the household, and there's a woman, and she seems in the movie submissive and blah, 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 all the way down the line. So, I understand that, so it's not something that I hold against him, you know what I mean? It's just that I think my dad did the best thing he could based on what he understood to be the quote-unquote right thing, at least for his time, And so, whatever, I still love my dad. And I'm glad that people are starting to appreciate my father for the person he was and starting to see that he was not that person that they persecuted and ostracized. He didn't deserve that. Also, the issue that's coming up to me in my mind is that people know that the Egyptians were black, okay? And, I'm sorry that this was even an issue. You know what I mean? I really am sorry. I was thinking about that on the way to the store yesterday. Yeah, I walked to the store yesterday. I did. I know it pisses off some perps, but I had to get out of the house, and it's just too damn bad. But anyway, I was walking down the street, and I kept thinking, well, this issue of the black people being the Egyptians, and people creating like a little war against me when I had like absolutely no idea. I was thinking about how when I was growing up, that conversation would circle up a lot, like especially in places like the barber shop. Like if I was going to go pick up my dad, at the barber shop, you see a lot of black men. They're talking about this very topic, talking about the Egyptians and stuff like that. And you go to like a lot of beauticians, the hair place. When you go get your hair, that's a place where there's a lot of conversations. As a matter of fact, there's movies based on like, or show scenes where people in the barbershop or whatever talking about, whatever. But that's where people have conversations, and I would hear this stuff a lot, And in my mind, I didn't realize that I had any of that blood in me. I just thought that I was possibly from the west part of Africa, like a lot of people here in this country are. And I just kept thinking, well, I'm not an Egyptian, but um, if that's the case, why can't you just look at it as on an individual basis? That was always my thing, okay? I do know that Egyptians had come from a different stock, and obviously they had different views when it came to religion, and that's probably the exact thing that they used to target me, assuming that I was going to be against Christianity. I'm not against Christianity. I'm just against like the mindset of people who want to use religion as an excuse to abuse other people, which I've said that before. But when it comes to superiority, I don't need to prove to people that I'm better at certain things than they are. Okay, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. And I'm sorry that this whole thing got started. It seems very warped, and that it's something that's went a little too far. You know what I mean? But I'm glad, that that's my background. It's cool and everything, but um, that doesn't change anything. You know what I mean? It doesn't change anything really. It's just, okay, I know who I am. And obviously that explains the fact that the reasons why I am such a mystical person, why I'm drawn to those sort of things. It does that for me. But I think there was some, what they call white fear or something, thinking that I was going to try to control and lead things. I have zero interest in trying to be a leader of a system that I just believe is fucked from the get-go. You know what I mean? So, no, I'm not. I'm just trying to get by. And when I think of people who have special gifts and stuff like that, I think one of the reasons why I do appreciate the idea of Jesus is because Jesus was supposedly a person who had, these mystical gifts, something that like being able to like raise the dead and all this stuff, which, like I said, I couldn't do that. And it's extremely impressive. Obviously, his situation was a lot. He dealt with a lot of persecution. He dealt with, um, um, what do you call it? But he also had people who did follow him. Very few people did, okay? But he did have his followers, but he dealt with a lot of persecution, and people, abused him, and he would pray to his father and say, please forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. And really, when you think about it, when you think about people and their little herd mentality, they really fucking don't know what they're doing. They don't know how deep it really goes, the source of it, but they just do. And that's the biggest issue. It's like the best thing you can have in this world is knowledge to understand right from wrong. I remember asking my teacher, my history teacher, like when I was younger, I was like, well, what's the point really of, we were talking about history, but like, what is the point of understanding history? And they'll say things like, well, because that way, history generally repeats itself. That way, when something happens, you can learn from that. Okay, well, did people learn from the shit that went over in like during the Holocaust? Did they learn from that? Did they see the signs? The same shit was being played out on one person. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. Anyway, I'm just kind of getting off the subject because maybe Let's Groove will come on, so I won't be angry. But anyway, moving on. I also, people think that I should just relax and focus on content. And sometimes, like the content that I want to make should be posted on Patreon. Okay, it's like, it's the kind of stuff where I write scripts and I stay on the same dialogue. I'm not like all over the place like I am now. But, it's like I'm having the issue. I've been trying to post the same damn video for like the last 2 months. So my hands are tied. So there's really not a whole lot for me to do. That I think is productive or point. I don't know, like, because I feel as though I'm at the mercy of whatever this issue is going to be straightened out. And what else can you do? You know what I mean? So yesterday I did go for a walk and I did think about this issue. That's the only issue that I think about. And it's like different parts of the issue. The issue of the Black Egyptian thing just popped in my head. And then, of course, the whole reincarnation. And the main thing that I tend to think about is the fake family thing. The fake family, the fake setup, and all of that. That kind of just kind of, swirls around my head a lot. I mean, all of it really. I mean, it's pretty heavy when you think about it, because I was living in a reality that wasn't even real. I was living in a way that wasn't. It was just made up, very much like the Truman Show when you think about it. So yeah, I'm trying to relax and focus on just content, and I do. I have like a lot. I can just think about all kinds of different content that I like to make, but I always feel like I'm just kind of waiting around, twiddling my thumbs. People really like the videos where I'm ranting about the experiment, and I know that people would like me to talk more about that. Like I said, I'm trying to stick more on spiritual issues. The only reason why I came back on made to make this video is because the whole issue of women's rights and the last video that I made was just kind of swirling into my head. The experiment, obviously, I'm not a fan of that sort of stuff. I think the experiment was horrible. Basically, I don't know what else to say about it. You know what I mean? Uh, it just caused a lot of misery and suffering, and I think it kind of is, okay, because obviously I have traits that the majority of the people don't, right? Which puts me different, sets me apart. So I have like what they call, and this is not arrogant, it's just superior traits, okay? So then I have to exist among the majority of the population who doesn't. You know what I mean? And it's like it's like more than a class of your own. It's kind of like sad in a way. And then you think about the suffering that my parents went through, because my mom really couldn't handle a lot of this. And then my poor father got, basically ostracized for nothing. You know what I mean? It's just like this whole thing it was just sick from get-go. But I think that's really all I need to say about it. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in, like I said, I don't want to fuel the fire, but I do know that there's a lot of people who want me to constantly talk about it. It is interesting, it really is, but whatever. Also, people think that I should try to aim for astral projection to perfect it, and I think that's what I've been struggling to do. I don't know if that's something that will come later on, when I get closer to when it's time for me to die. That may be when it becomes easier to do those sort of things. I do know that it's very common before people die that they fly in and out of their body. That's very common. I've seen that kind of stuff in nursing homes. Um, I don't know, but like I said, the reason why I created this Swan Song Manifesto is so I can not just teach people stuff about that stuff, but also when it's my time, I want to leave like as much detailed information about the dying process and stuff. As for astral projection, that's just something I've never mastered. Like I go to bed at night because YouTube has like this huge selection of like different astral projection inducing type music that for me, maybe it might work for other people. Okay, I do think some of the ones have like different tones and frequencies, and they certainly are good for meditation. But I have not been able to like accomplish astral projection with any of them. That astral projection usually happens when I least expect it. When I least expect it, and I don't really have any control over it. But like I said, that music that I listen to at night, I go there hoping. And it's good before bed to listen to. Like I said, it's good for meditation. It's good for memory recall. It's good for that sort of stuff. But I have yet to astral project when I want to. But I'm going to keep trying. People think of me as a child forever. That's another bit of thing that comes through my mind. It's not that I'm a child in a way where I enjoy things that make me happy. I don't care what those things might be. Like if that's a cartoon, if that's drawing in a paper, what do you call it, a coloring book, if it's riding a bicycle or whatever, I choose to do the things that make me happy. That doesn't mean that I'm irresponsible. It doesn't mean that I'm somebody who lacks good judgment. It's just that I believe that in this life we need to seek out as much pleasure as we can. And unfortunately,
most of the things that I have very limited sources, right? And even if I did have more sources, right, available, these are the things that I would still gravitate to. Like things like doll houses, and I really want a dollhouse so bad. I want a dollhouse so bad, really. But and I've seen like I don't know if you guys have seen those miniature cooking things. I see a lot of those reels on Facebook and Instagram. You know, people have actually like these little miniatures that function like real things. You know, like little blenders and even stoves and stuff. And I'm just like mesmerized watching these things. You know, I have always liked what they call the land of make believe. But here's the thing: I understand that that is make believe. You know what I mean? It's not something like I'm so detached from reality that I don't know that I need to do this, and this. I don't drop my errands or any form of responsibility because I choose to indulge in these weird childish things on my free time. You know what I mean? Obviously, I use good judgment. So, you know, I'm a balanced person. So, yeah, I guess I am a child forever. I'm bad. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Um, I just wanted to say that. I don't know. I might be making videos throughout the day when I get bored because sometimes I just need to talk. Like, have a conversation, use my voice, express myself through my mouth. And, you know, there's literally nobody sitting around here except for my stuffies, which my stuffies can pretty much read my mind, I'm sure. So there's no point in verbalizing anything. But you know, I just make these videos because you know it's therapeutic for me. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video, and I will be back with another one sometime later. Take care. Bye.